So I'm at the Royal Ontario Museum and we have a very important collection of Mexican textiles and costumes. But we weren't sure how important it was because none of us are particularly Mexican costume and textile experts. But we have a wonderful fellowship called the Veronica Gervais Research Fellowship. We invited Chloe Sayre to try and apply for it and hoping she would, and she did. And she came to Toronto first in 2010 as a fellow. When she came here, her job was to look at the collection, tell us what we had.
Well, it really is a thrill to be here after all the work. It's wonderful. Y hay que decir unas palabras en español también para los que hablan español. Es un privilegio haber trabajado con una colección tan importante.
But the wonderful thing about Chloe, because she's been researching Mexican textiles and costumes for over 40 years, and really, if you want to know about them, invariably the book you will turn to will have her name on it. She told us not only what everything was or confirmed what we thought it might be, but she could also contextualize it in terms of other collections. She's built collections for the British Museum. She knows the collection at the Franz Mayer in Mexico. So she saw that it was a very important collection, and then she came back in 2012, and from then on we really started planning to have an exhibition. How could we have an exhibition? How could it be? And with Chloe's help, we kind of crafted a storyline and chose a whole range of textiles from across Mexico, different techniques, colonial techniques such as embroidery and much more traditional weaving techniques. And Chloe knows a lot of the artisans and the cultures who've made this, so she and I went to Mexico and we took films of people actually doing this. And it's added to the exhibition a lot, along with her photographs of people wearing textiles. So it really is a living, breathing culture. It's not just a thing of the past, it's something that happens today throughout Mexico and in many, many different ways, which is what makes it so exciting.
It really is a very important collection, and when I first saw it in 2010 with the Veronica Gervais Research Fellowship, I really couldn't believe what I was seeing, because it's like a time capsule. There's wonderful needlework from the 19th century, wonderful beadwork, and those iconic garments for women, the rebozo, and for men, the sarape. You'll see them right now in the gallery. And it's very rare in the world to find such a first-rate collection in such beautiful condition.
This case is about the Tijuana costume on the Isthmus of Tehuantepec, and as you can see, it's this incredible array and fantastic display of fashion that's used for the gala occasions and for ceremonies that really revolve around the church, for festive occasions. And when we went to Tehuantepec and we attended the Festival of Santa Maria, we saw these things being worn, we saw them being made, we have a video that shows that. But there's these distinct styles that have become this kind of a symbol of Mexicanidad. Frida Kahlo wore this costume to really show that, you know, this was Mexican clothing that really symbolized Mexico. And there's two different techniques that these are made. One is embroidered. This one's from the 1940s. It's machine embroidered. This one's more contemporary, but it's embroidered on these very old Singer sewing machines, vintage sewing machines. They go back and forth, crisscross, and some of these patterns go back to the 1920s. So these beautiful things, and this is the modern version of it today, where they've changed it from the huipil, the top, to a bustier, they call it, a corset, they call it, with more modern textiles and elaborate embroidery. And the women at the front are Tijuana, wearing the wonderful huipil grande, this wonderful headdress that has a kind of complicated origin, so we're not quite sure where they came from, but probably from a blouse that was made to cover women's bodices. Can be worn in several ways, front and back, depending on the mass and depending on what you're doing. So this is our start to our exhibition, which is a fiesta. We hope that everyone enjoys it. This blouse is the latest addition to the collection. When we were in Mexico in August, we commissioned it from Faustina, who's a hand embroiderer, and she made the entire blouse. She designed it, she drew the pattern, and then it took her many, many months to embroider it, and it just arrived here last week in time for its proper place here in the display. She's highly recognized in Mexico for her embroideries, and this is extremely fine work of her own design, with beautiful little flowers, little birds, crochet work in there, and this wonderful smocking with the people in the yoke. So we're very, very delighted to keep adding to the collection by such fantastic makers. Behind me is a display of huipils, a woman's kind of sleeveless tunic that's worn throughout Mexico in different regions and made in various different ways. It can be embroidered, but these are woven with different patterns, and they're very distinctive to every culture. So putting these on display is a challenge because we don't have the complete outfit, because they're handmade in different panels. They have their own life, and this mannequin over here is from San Mateo. We bought the costume in San Mateo, so we're trying to always display things, kind of indicate or suggest how they may have been worn, how they were worn, rather than just showing them as flat two-dimensional textiles. This exhibition is important to show the variety and the complexity of Mexican culture. That's a very old culture and comes from ancient times all the way through the Spanish conquest and post-colonial period to be the living Mexico that it is today. So it's this complete fascinating fusion of very old and traditional techniques along with very modern ways of doing things or modern ways of wearing things and living in a modern world. And so being here in Toronto, part of the year when we're having the Pan Am Games, when so many people are coming to Toronto to think about, what happens in the Americas, having this collection and having this display really shows the complexity, variety of cultures, languages that Mexico embodies. So we're hoping people really enjoy this.
The exhibition will create awareness of Mexico in Canada, helping contrast the country's past with its modern and sophisticated present. So we expect that many will be inspired to travel to Mexico for their next vacation. If you have not an amigo in a small village in Mexico, go down there and look for one.